host. We just didn't know.
Okay.
Now we're trying to figure out how to stop and not have to have people be in the waiting room.
Oh, you need to set that up at the beginning, at the invitation when you make the invitation.
Oh,
So if you want to make me a co-host, I'll let people in and I'll manage the room for you.
that would be great, Deborah.
Okay.
Hey, Robert.
Hi, long time no see.
I know.
I have a feeling all of us are going to be meeting every day at some point.
Yeah,
Steve, do you see how to do that?
I got you right here. It only says host, not co-host.
Well, next to my name?
Your name, and it's giving me
yeah, you're the host.
video pin, spotlight for everyone, make host, rename. I can make you host, I don't care.
Yeah,
Well,
co-host, yeah, if you're gonna do something.
let's see if you go into participants,
That's where I am.
Yeah.
okay, and then if you click on more next to my name, it doesn't say make co-host.
No, it says make host.
Interesting.
Oh, that's
Then
interesting.
make
Yeah.
a host.
Huh.
Oh, except that you have a PowerPoint. You can
Right.
have,
He has to have um
Hmm.
I wonder if I can make you co-host if you make me host.
Uh,
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. That's really odd. Um,
must be something in the settings on. Is this your account, Steve?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
It,
Sherry's asking in the chat if you're using the regular.
no, he's using, this is not the regular point one.
this is his.
This is his,
Mine.
yeah, otherwise you would see the co-host because I think it's set up
Do I
that
want
way.
the AI companion on?
Let's see. What if you go into host tools?
Where's that?
Well, yeah, see, I don't have it on my
Oh,
screen because
here, host tools right there. Okay.
is there anything there that could allow to make someone a co-host?
It's allowing all participants to everything from share screen all the way chat, rename this unmute, start videos, share docs, share whiteboard, share notes.
Okay. Let's see. It's really odd. Um,
I got admit all.
Why don't you just okay. Oh, people are coming in now. So you
Yeah,
didn't.
because I just hit admit all.
Oh, well, you maybe just have to keep doing that.
Yeah,
And there'll be a time when everybody's here. So
yeah, no problem.
okay. Hello, everybody coming on. Good to see you, whether you're in a picture or I see your beautiful and handsome faces. You're looking good.
She was talking to you guys, not me.
Well, we want to welcome everybody. So happy to have everyone here.
It's 4 o'clock. We'll give a couple minutes and see who else shows up.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Good.
Nice to have you, dear.
Thank you.
This is one person in the waiting room, but I haven't been able to let them in.
Hmm.
Is the admit thing up?
No,
It might be Sherry because I'm getting a message that she can't get in, that she's in the waiting room.
Hmm.
Where's the admit?
Go to participants.
yeah, I was there.
Okay.
Again, invite. No, that doesn't say. It doesn't have the admit.
Participants. There's
What is that little blinky star?
mm,
Oh, AI companion, never mind. Should the admit button just keep popping up, Deborah? Automatically?
Yeah, it'll keep popping up when people come in the room.
Well, it's not popping up on his computer. That's why we can't let Sherry in.
Okay.
There it is. View, just 3 people. You just click it, view, or do you click view, Sherry?
Yeah, that'll show you who's there, and then you can also just hit admit all. Yeah, if you click on view, it'll show you who's there.
Oh,
I'm not sure why it's not letting you make me a co-host.
did they come in?
admit all
Admit all. Where are you seeing that?
right here.
Then do it.
Yep, here they come.
Okay. So maybe that's where you're looking. You have to look over there.
Okay, it's normally over here, but now it's over there. Okay. One more minute and then we'll get started. Caroline, stop laughing.
Are you having Zoom problems? I had a bunch of that this morning before my devotional.
I do remember. Tell me the name of it. Found out yet?
Yeah.
Where is it?
In your room.
Where's her car?
It's parked on the street.
And Don, just letting you know you're unmuted.
Sorry about that.
No, we're protecting your privacy.
So you know where everything is. Okay.
Okay.
Just want to welcome everyone that I'm seeing here. Looks like we have somebody from Trinidad. Karen, Sarah, Carol, Carolyn, John, Sherry, Dia, Lynn, and Leaf, Robert, of course, and Deborah.
Well, I'm just going to begin because our session includes a lot of dialogue, and that is dialogue from you guys. I'm going to be asking questions like, what do you think? All right. Mm. You know, in the 17th century, we didn't have to worry about this.
Yeah, I remember that.
Want to go back?
Yeah. 16th century dentistry. Yeah, that was great.
We were probably all there together too. What did you say, Dara?
I said we were probably all there together, this enlarged soul tribe that we're in
Mm.
this moment.
And
Yep.
we're going to talk about that. All right.
Anybody else in the waiting room, Steve, before you start?
It doesn't show me any.
Okay. And just double checking.
All right. Okay. I think this is going to work. Welcome to the Soul of Interfaith. I believe it's being recorded too, so anything you say can be used against you. The question I always pose is, have you ever wondered what happens after we die? And you know what? I don't think there's a person on earth that doesn't wonder that. The last three books that I wrote, Evolving Soul, God, You Look Great, and Dream Your Evolution, when you put them together, they bring together the religious beliefs and science beliefs, and basically will state that on day one, God created our soul, and God is our soul that has been evolving from life to life, and we can learn from the things that have happened in the past, and we can uncover things that we might want for the future. It's absolutely amazing that, just as Deborah Meck said, you know, these are people that have been together before. Well, how come? Whatever. So let's talk about evolution. Evolution's been defined as the gradual development of something, especially from a simple to a more complex form. So if you think of what we go through from the time we're in the womb to our cuteness as babies, and then our, I'll say, adversarial teenagehood, and then eventually getting married, and some of us, fortunately, will even get older. Our life really is one big set of evolutions. So why would you think that our evolution would stop after we die? This is a question that I hope to ask of you, and you'll get your feelings about. The evolution of the universe is that in the beginning, the universe contained all of our souls, all the souls, re-evolving over and over again throughout time. And one of my favorite guys is Neil deGrasse, who says, I look up at the night sky and I know that, yes, we are part of this universe. We are in the universe. But perhaps more important than both of those facts is that the universe is in us. When I reflect back on the fact that I look up, I look up and many people feel small. Because they're small, the universe is big. But I feel big because my atoms came from those stars. The atoms in our human body, real important to know, were forged in the heart of ancient stars, which themselves were made from the elements produced in the Big Bang. And the scientific fact is, every one of our body's atoms is traceable to the Big Bang Theory. Now, when we deal with the different faiths, and I won't get into all the real details of it, but all the faiths believe that the soul exists. They believe that God's love is not limited to this life. Whether you're Christian or Jewish or Confucian or Egyptian, that Buddhism teaches everything about the description of the human condition. And it allows us to go beyond what we think today. In Hinduism, Navajo beliefs, New Thought teaches that the soul is the medium through which all law and power operate. We believe in the eternality and immortality and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. Whether you're a Sikh, Sufi, Chinese Taoist, Zoroastrian, any of the religious mystics all believe that the soul exists and the soul is one with God. So here's a fact that I'm going to throw out at you, whether you believe it or not, and that is, it's been surmised by some people. Sorry. Sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Okay, it's been surmised by some that since the individual faith's avatars, their lives never overlapped, and each one taught essentially the same thing. That many people believe that perhaps all those avatars were the same soul reappearing in different parts of the world at different times in history. Now, there's been a lot of on the soul and about reincarnation and life has been.
And then he's like, this is his first like thing. Let's go.
Five phones you need to mute.
Are we okay? Okay.
Steve, you may want to mute everyone.
Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that right now. With all the books that have been written about the soul, there are so many truths that it overlaps and overlaps and overlaps. So the question I'll have for you is, what do you do when you return home from your busy life, whatever that might be? And I think that you're going to say, well, I sit around, I do pretty much nothing. But I do think about what went right and what went wrong in my day. And we decide to not make the same mistakes that we did before. Well, guess what? That's how our soul chooses who we are to become, who we will be with, what we are to do, and what we will experience during all this time here. That's why some people are really attracted to study or evolve something that doesn't even exist yet. And yet they might not even be able to see it. But when you think about Columbus, he's told the earth is flat. But his discovery affected everyone's perception of our planet. The Wright brothers were told man will never fly, and their invention changed the field of travel in the world. Now, I'm sure all of you remember this first car. When it came out, people said, "Get a horse. What are you doing to it? We don't need this." And think about before electricity. Now think about using the word electricity when you're in the 1500s, 1600s. Before Thomas Edison, everybody read by candlelight. And in 1808, John Dalton said the atom, which no one could see, was the smallest particle in the world and makes up everything. And how many smaller particles have we found today? So what were you told growing up that limits you in what you do today? Maybe someone told you were too short or too tall or too fat or too skinny or you can't sing. They told me I couldn't sing, and they were right. But that's beside the point. People were told, "Oh, you're only a woman, you can't be what you want." And many people were just told, "No, you can't do it. You can't be it." And yet you've become something beyond what they've brought you to. Our soul transitions from one life experience to the next, taking our successes and failures with us.
Video.
Okay, I'm going to hit share again.
Yeah.
And there's a box to check that says share video and optimize sound before you actually start the share.
Are we back here?
Is there
Yes.
a video?
Okay.
You got both.
All right. Let me just get back to that. I apologize for that. And now it's not letting me get back into the presentation.
Or maybe you should just tell them about the video and move on.
I'm trying to do that. Okay. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
If we do get back to the video, what you were listening to was the piano
What?
playing.
Stop share.
Okay.
唔次 FaceTime 就有5000分。
Okay.
俾啲表情啊！
你看了也是一清的。哇！
俾啲。收拾心情，收拾心情。好激昂㗎，好激昂嘅，知唔知啊？每一下要撞爛啲石頭。
Okay. You did hear that. You did see that. Now, I believe that 4-year-old boy did not take lessons for the last years here on this earth plane. I believe that boy, plus any of the other kids that can do things so well, children that can play instruments, children that can sing incredibly, children who graduate college when they're 10 years old, children who can act and do things that perhaps they shouldn't be able to do by our standards, but they brought in with them these abilities. We evolved back to continue on from where we left off. Does that make sense? We evolved back to continue on from where we left off. Some of us are easily able to play a musical instrument. Some of us feel called to a country we've never visited before. Some of us are drawn to or repelled by certain people. And what makes us choose one profession over another? I was brought up in a wonderful community in Philadelphia. and I grew up with twin brothers, totally different. One became a surgeon and one became a hairdresser. Why? What makes you you? And are you happy being you? I got a story to tell you, and this comes back from my past experience in the 1970s and 80s and 90s of being a hypnotist who brought people into their past lives. And I would do past life regression for individuals and at universities, at companies. They would invite me in to do for, and at some, we found all sorts of problems that people had with one or another. One woman came to me and she knocked on my door, having made the appointment. She says, "You gotta help me. You gotta help me. I hate my husband." I said, "Wait, whoa. What's the matter?" And as she was regressed into the past life that was most connected to what she was going through now, she found herself in a cabin type space in Kentucky, 3 children, and her husband came to the door having had been on a hunting expedition. Unfortunately, he didn't catch anything. He didn't trap anything, and they had no dinner. I said, take a good look. And I always told people in their regressions that they would be watching the past, just like watching a movie. You would see what needed to be seen, but at the same time, you wouldn't have the emotion that you might have if you were actually there. I said, take a look at his face. Does he look familiar? She says, that's Tim. That was her husband today. And so what happened is her husband, being very angry that he didn't catch anything, pushed his kids aside, and she ran up and says, "Leave the kids alone." And he pushed her aside. She hit her head and she died. What had happened is that it was an accident, and she, in that experience, felt it was an accident. She said, "He didn't mean to kill me." Later on, we talked about getting them together, which we eventually did. And she didn't like her husband for reasons that made no sense. And the funny part about it was that her husband didn't like her, but he also felt a need to do for her, to make up for something. And fortunately, in a counseling session, just a few days later, we discussed all that happened, and they were able to get together and talk about it and really start a new life for themselves. Our souls return to apologize, and they continue relationships and sometimes even to protect the living. And that happened for a good friend of ours, a minister who unfortunately at the beginning of December lost her husband. And she felt for Christmas that she needed to put up on the mantle the Christmas stockings. It was very tearful, and she just felt, I want to feel that he's here. And so she put up the 2 stockings, and a couple for her kids and that type of thing. And she came down the next morning and found his stocking had been turned around and was leaning in the wrong direction. And as she came over to it and began to adjust it, which she couldn't understand how it could ever be changed, she started to smell gas. She called the gas company. They came out. Turned out that the gas pipe there had a minor leak. Her husband, the soul that she lived with, came back and brought her to the fireplace to save her life. You know, we can plan to be happy. We plan our happiness all the time. We plan our happiness because we set up our alarm clock to wake us up. We plan what we're going to buy at the grocery store. We plan our daily projects. Hopefully you're planning to be on this program and Interfaith Awareness Week for the 7 days. We plan our vacations, and you know, we even plan where we're going to sit. Are you a window person or an aisle person? And those of you who are ministers, you even plan your Sunday sermon. My good friend, Reverend Wendy Craig Purcell, that I sort of mentored, she mentored me. She used to do her sermons 5-6 months in advance. Well, you can now plan your next life in the same way. All you need to do is make a list of all the things, all the areas of your life, your family, health, education. You may have a list of 20, 30, who knows how many. And ask yourself, are you happy now? Is there something that needs to be changed? And if there is, what should it look like? And also, what should it feel like? I'm going to ask you to remember this ECHO. And ECHO stands for evolve into the future you want. Design it today. What do you want in the future? You want to go to college? You want to go on vacation? I remember when I was 15 and I got my junior license. I wanted to learn how to drive, and yeah. I even bought a keychain so I would have the keys to whatever car I was going to have. And sometimes people tell you, don't do that. Don't even ask for things. And if you go to the Bible, James 4:2, it says, you have not because you ask not. You have not because you ask not. Ask. Evolve into the future you want. And then claim your future good now. You know, when you take a flight to go on vacation, they ask you, what seat do you want to sit in? They claim where you're going to sit before you even get on the plane. And now, recently, I've noticed that if you make plans to go to the movies, to the theater, to watch anything outside, you've got to get your tickets in advance. Where do you want to be? And how do you want to live? Now, here's the hardest part. The hardest part of ECHO is that you're going to have patience. You know, it took you a long time to get here. For some of you, you might have had 100 different lifetimes. You might have had 2. I don't know. But if it took you that long and you want change now, just wait. Maybe it's an extra day. I said at the very beginning, as the conference began, that we have to know that our peace is going to come, our understanding of where we're going to be and go is all going to be there for us. We just sometimes have to have the patience. And also, I'm going to ask you to be open to a good through your soul that is beyond what you expect. Probably many of you, if not all of you, have wanted something in your life. And you got that, you almost got that something, and then it was taken away. And you ended up getting something even better. Why? Because that other thing was not meant for you. God wants you to have the best. God says, don't settle for average. Don't settle for average. Accept the best. What you believe in your mind, you can achieve. There are no such things as accidents and coincidental lucky breaks. That's not how it works. Your soul is evolving to bring you the good you deserve. So it's time to accept your evolution. If your soul is God, then every time you look in the mirror, you are looking at God. And I'm going to ask you that the next time you pass a mirror, you look in there and you say, God, you look great. God, you look great. I got one last story to tell you, and then we'll open it up for some dialogue. And that is how I first got started with knowing that our soul transfers from one life to the next. I was living in St. Louis in 1978, and a neighbor from next door came to me crying. Her 5-year-old son keeps waking up crying and and according to the boy, he has a different name, and his dog was just run over by a car. She said, could you talk to him, please? I don't know what to do. I'm at my wit's end, and he's just there crying. And I talked to the boy, and I got all the details. And at 5 years old, he knew his name. He knew where he lived. He knew his family. He was pretty sharp. And where he lived was in San Francisco. Well, when I left, I told the mother, I'm going to call a friend. And I called a friend in San Francisco. I said, you got to go over to this address and tell me what you see. Tell me what you're feeling. This friend of mine went to the same address that the boy had given me and noticed on the outside was the last name of the boy. He knocked on the door, and a young mother came to the door, and he told her who he was, and she began to cry because that's what happened to her son a number of years before. His dog had run out from the house into the street and was hit by a car and died. And the little boy ran and was killed.
What was that?
Okay. All the details that the boy had experienced, all those things were existing. It proved to me that he had lived before. And I know that for each one of us, the same thing has happened. So at this point, I'm going to open it up, if I can do it properly, and ask you, have you ever experienced in any way a soul who might have passed? Have you had a near-death experience yourself? Have you had a past life experience or anything other than that? And I'm going to, how do I get everybody unmuted? Participants?
Just ask everybody to unmute.
Oh, well, everybody will unmute. So the questions are, have you ever had an experience about a past lifetime? Have you ever experienced someone in your family, perhaps, who may have passed? Have you ever been scared that you felt a spirit around you and knew that it wasn't there to scare you? It was there because they knew you.
Well, I can start off if you want me to, Steve, because you know my story.
Please.
If it's okay, somebody's got to start. This is some years ago when Steve's father had passed away, and we were out in Philadelphia. And while he was not well and kind of saying our last goodbyes, I had to leave early because we had church and I had to get back for a Sunday service. But Steve stayed, and in that time, his dad passed. And I believe it was on a Friday, I think, Steve, right? Anyway, so in the middle of the night, or actually it was in just about early morning, 5 o'clock, I kind of woke up and I'm like, all of a sudden I knew somebody was in the house. So I was afraid. I could literally feel there was somebody walking through the house. And all of a sudden I knew whoever it was in the bedroom. And I was sleeping with my hands like this, my head on my hands. Or actually they were right over next to my head. Anyway, and I knew somebody was in the room, but I couldn't open my eyes. They were glued shut. There's no way I could open my eyes. And I was like stiff, paralyzed, couldn't do anything. But then the feeling of whoever's here is not here to harm me. I just had this feeling of, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden, I thought there were angels in the room. That's what I thought. And all of a sudden, as my hands were next to my head, I could feel somebody else putting his hands on top of mine. And I felt at peace. And I knew it was Steve's father. Because I was feeling, hearing, sensing somebody say, she's awake. She knows you're here. And she knows that it's okay. And so he was trying to make sure that he knew that I knew, and I knew that whoever was spirit guide, angel, whatever it was Steve's father, was telling me I knew he was here, and I could actually feel his hands on my hands. And then in an instant, poof, they were gone. And then I was unparalyzed. I could open my eyes. And then I immediately made a phone call to Steve and told him the experience. I said, your dad visited me. And I think he wanted to know where you lived, where we lived, because he had never been out here before. So he was checking us out, just probably curious, looking around, saying goodbye to people, And I was fortunate to be one of the people. He came over and kind of just touched my hands like, okay, everything is good. All right.
And one other thing happened after that. Abigail had emailed me her experience, and I was staying at my brother's house, and my mother, we were about to go to the gravesite, and my mother read what Abigail had written. And this, I won't say devout, but this Jewish woman said, "Do you think? Could it be real?" Changed her life at that moment. Okay, who's next?
I'll go next. My late husband and I had a bush pilot operation. We flew into the back country, took people to put them on the river, hunt, fish, whatever. So he was killed in 04, and in 05 began, and there were some things that happened. But anyway, in 05, on his birthday, he really stepped up the playing with the lights. Each of us knew of a close friend and had a ranch, and they were the ghost or whatever. They would move furniture, work with the lights, and we had a knowing or a belief in it, but hadn't had direct experience. So in the year between a year from when he actually had crashed into the mountain, I had bought a 3-tier lamp where you tap it on and it goes 1, 2, 3.
Oh, yeah.
And it's beautiful Indian meeting. So it was not with us in our little cabin and when we were married. So what started was with this whole scene was the blinking of the lights and in the bathroom and downstairs. And one time, 3 people, musicians, they decided they would stay in my cabin because it was late when they finished playing. And my husband, I call him Danner, he started up the washing machine 2 or 3 times. He did not, I was carrying blankets downstairs, and he wasn't having any of it. So the 3-tier lamp story went on, and I'll skip to that now. But for probably a year and a half, and I kept a diary. And around 3:30 in the morning, I would hear the rafter break, and then I would feel the air. And sometimes I didn't, but I would look in the loft, which was right next to with an open door, no door, from our bed, and the light would be on. So I have to skip because of time, and I want to hear from the rest of the people. But so we started this communication, and then I started setting myself up in the recliner and with my camera, and which had a recorder on it, and a big orb. I caught this on. This was still so new to me. I kept denying it in a way. It's like, well, yeah. But I'd look at the pictures and I'd see the energy going across the floor, and then the orb. And it can't be an orb. It's something with the camera. And I mean, it was huge in all these different pictures. And then one time I went on a 10-day retreat, and I unplugged the camera the lamp, so that it wouldn't, if it did go on, it wouldn't use up the electricity and burn out. So when I came back, you're going to crack up. I plugged in the lamp, and it went doop, 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 doop. It turned itself all 3 tiers and off. And then because I was working on communicating with it. And so then I asked it to, and we had this dance for the longest time. So it was real. It was so real. It was undeniable. And I still have the one picture. The rest of them burned when our cabin burned down. But it was of the orb. So I want to hear the rest of you did, because it was such a process, even before that, years before that, to say, is this real? Is this really happening to me? So even when my whole body turned crystalline, And
Wonderful.
yeah, okay, so I'm gonna quit and go on with somebody else. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I know Deborah Robin Mick has no examples of this.
Well, yes, many, Dia, that was so beautiful. I'm so honored to hear more of your story. And so right on. I was thinking, spirits turn my printer on a lot. Like, if I'm doing something or thinking something, that they do that to get my attention, all of a sudden I'll hear my printer turn on. And once it even started printing out symbols, like pages and pages of symbols. Um, the second story I'll tell, because it's kind of embarrassing, so I'll take the opportunity that we're in this intimate group together tonight. I started dating this gentleman once, and um, I all of a sudden one time had a flash of his name that wasn't his name in this lifetime. And I like saw the whole past life. And I said, look, I just want you to know if I ever call you by this name, I know who you are, but this is why. And then I explained to him about this past life I had seen. And luckily it deepened the relationship at the time. But I thought, well, so that's kind of a fun story. So I have more, but I'll pass the talking stick.
Who else would like to share? Well, then let me ask you the question. What do you think about the 4-year-old playing the piano?
Say it again.
What did you think about the 4-year-old who was playing the piano like a concert pianist?
I thought he was 5.
Yeah, 4. But yeah, I think that he came in with that talent,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
he obviously in a past life was that musician, and he made the choice to come in with it so he could keep doing it. That's what I think.
Yeah,
And
I
I
mean,
mean,
he saw the technique. I mean, anybody who plays piano, you know that a lot of it that there's a technique that you learn, and here's this little kid doing this technique, and I'm going, there was no time to train him in that.
no, no, no. And I played piano for a long time. I haven't played it in years, but I mean, I know. I mean, there you sit there and you practice and practice and practice, and this kid just came in and started playing, so it really makes a difference. I mean, you just know that there's something there. I have to tell you a story too. Years ago when I was teaching kindergarten, I had a mother come up to me and say, I don't know what's wrong. It's kind of like Steve's story. I don't know what's wrong with my son. He keeps talking about things that just doesn't make any sense to me. And I said, well, what do you mean? He says, he keeps telling me that he lived in Egypt and he was an Egyptian. He lived in Egypt for a long time and that was his life. And I believed in all this way back then when I was teaching kindergarten. I says, well, what do you think? Is it possible that he may there may be other lives that we've lived? Is that something that you might think about? And she thought about it and she was very open to the idea. I said, maybe he's just remembering. I said, if you want him to continue to remember, you need to encourage him to remember, because children will forget. So I don't know whether I didn't tell her to go one way or the other. It's totally up to her. But he would even in the kind of talk about his life in Egypt. I used to live in Egypt. How does a 5-year-old know about Egypt, right? Really? Egypt of all places. So anyway, it's interesting.
Don, you look like you're about to say.
Very good. You're quite intuitive. I have experienced the 4 souls being born into our family and 11 grandchildren and some great grandchildren. And I am puzzled by how different the personalities are. Like it's like they came that way, totally different from each other, and there was no time to develop that. And it probably didn't happen in a womb. So I think they came as sort of formed personalities. So there had to be some prior life. In our church, we believe what's called the pre-existence, where God created souls, and we had experiences and lived in certain ways and agreed to come here to experience life and learn and grow and develop. And so they may have existed before on this earth, or they may have just existed before as souls created by God. And so I kind of feel like, that's very real to me. I don't know about people living, being reincarnated from lives here, but I'm partway there. And my wife, do you want to say anything to it? She's been fascinated by reincarnation. Want to say something?
It just makes total sense. Can't imagine if eternity is based on the things we've learned and done on our turn on earth. It's a moment in time for one-time situation for which we have no control over the situation in which we were born. Except, as you say, I believe that when we pass, we go back to the spirit guides or whoever it was and read in our wherever and talk about what we learned and what we wish to learn next time. So we do have some control over the situation we're in. But I just feel like we need many opportunities to develop and progress. I don't know how you can progress in the point of one tiny lifetime and have it determine what's going to happen for all eternity thereafter.
Yeah.
I've always taught about that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. Remember, you were taught that probably in 4th grade or something. But energy can be changed. And the example I always use is if you put ice into a pot, that ice has so much energy in it. And then you heat the pot, and that energy becomes water. You go from ice to water. But the energy that's there is exactly the same. Has to be. You can't create or destroy any energy. And if you keep heating the pot, the water becomes steam. In the steam, you've got the same amount of energy as you had in the water, as you had in the ice. It's just in a different form. You cannot get rid of it. The soul exists, and when it leaves this lifetime, the soul still exists. Where it goes? Well, into a 4-year-old who says, I can play the piano like I'm a 35-year-old concert pianist. Imagine where you might have been 100 years ago, in a different lifetime, in a different country, in a different culture. I mean, many of us here are here because of interfaith. Well, why are you connected to interfaith? Why aren't you just a Christian, Jew, Buddhist, Zoroastrian? Why aren't you just one? And how many of you are different than your parents were? I mean, the old, he comes from the same family, so he's going to grow up and be the same type of person I am. No. I was very fortunate to have parents who cared enough, who wanted me to go to college. My father never finished high school. My mother finished high school, and that was about it. So they never had advanced schooling. Yet they would put away money every Sunday from my father's pay so that I could have, and my two brothers, a college education. When I wrote my first book in 1986, I gave a copy to my father. Very proud, I felt, but I didn't understand one thing. He said to me, "This is the first book I've read from cover to cover." You know, it's a different life experience. And many of us are very different than our parents. Who else? We've got about another 20 minutes. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, actually, I don't have an experience like that, but the thing that came to me is, well, within traditional Christianity, there isn't an idea of reincarnation. However, there's an interesting example kind of going along the lines you're talking about. In Malachi, uh, it's prophesied that before the Messiah would come, that oh, now my mind just went blank.
Fathers, the children of the fathers.
That oh gosh, who is it that the Jews always wait for at Passover? It's set a place for him.
Elijah.
Elijah. Okay. Anyway,
Elijah, yeah.
the prophecy was that Elijah would come back to make way the way of the Lord. Now, at the time that Jesus was born, the other significant person who was born at that time was John the Baptist. And of course, and their meeting in the Jordan River, where the spirit world basically opened up to John the Baptist, he saw a dove descend on Jesus, and basically he said, "Behold the Lamb of God, who would take away the sins of the world." And anyway, as things went on, John kind of went on his own way. And later on, when Jesus sent his disciples out to kind of witness for him, they kind of came back with their tail between their legs and said, every place we go, they say Elijah has to come before the Messiah. And so what is that? So they weren't very learned, but Jesus knew. And he said, yeah, what they're saying is correct. And I'm telling you that John the Baptist is Elijah who is to come. And so, you can call it reincarnation, or that the spirit of Elijah was with the man who was actually the son of Zechariah, the high priest. So, but he was at least he was in the position representing Elijah. Whether you could say that he was Elijah or not, but he did represent Elijah. So that is an interesting thing within Christianity that goes along what you're saying.
Yeah. I taught comparative religion in college for a number of years, and that was one of the examples that I gave. Thank you, Robert. Jesus spoke very much about people coming back and taking other forms. I didn't tell him, but of course he was connected to that soul. So some of the other people who are muted, if you'd like, Carl or Carolyn or Sarah or Karen, if you'd like to join us and maybe even have a good story of your own, we'd love to hear it. Hi, Sarah, go ahead.
So this experience occurred at one of the Anthropology of Consciousness meetings. I don't remember what year it was. It was probably sometime in the 80s or the 90s. For an evening program, they had a shaman and we all lay down on the floor in deep relaxation pose. And he put us into a relaxed state. And then the question he posed to us was, when did you first exist? Okay. Now, I don't know what his intention was. He might have been trying to get us back to a consciousness of our own fertilization or something like that. But what happened for me, because I'm both a practitioner of Episcopal Christianity and a member of a yogic order, and so what happened for me was everything went black. And then there was this flipping, like one card after another or something flipping, but everything was black, 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 flipping, flipping, flipping. It went on for a really long time. And then suddenly I was on another world. I say that because the star was much further away. And there were things like plants, but they were purplish rather than green. And I was a single-celled organism clinging to a leaf of one of those plants.
Interesting.
So
when you left that relaxation period, what were you thinking?
Well, at first I thought, okay, well, that was the answer. That was the first time I existed as an individual life form. Later on, as you start to study yoga and consciousness and things like that, it's like, who knows, because the mind is the interpreter of experience.
Of course.
We experience spirit, and then our mind interprets.
Yes.
It. So,
Great story. Thank you. Karen, you're ready to jump in and give us your hit. Who are you, Karen?
Well, I had so many things that have happened in my life. It's sort of hard to figure out how to limit things. I will say that as a child, I knew I had lived in India, and I used to take my sheets off the bed and wrap up like I had a sari on. And I came in as a child knowing how to meditate. So I know I've spent a lot of time over in that part of the world as a monk. But as for going back to experiences with people who have passed, my mother, one year on the anniversary of her passing, I went to the store and I came out of the store and opened the car door, and my mother was an avid rose gardener. And I opened my car door and my car just was filled with the scent of these flowers. I mean, and I know it was her speaking, letting me know that she knew I had been thinking about her all day. And then some years ago, there was a tornado that came through my town. And that night, I was at home by myself. It was a few months after my mother had passed. And I was at home and I heard these footsteps in the ceiling. And I know it was my father. I wasn't afraid because I just felt his presence. I knew that was him walking. And I think he was reassuring me that I was going to be okay in the tornado. And one last thing about the coming in with talents. I had, as a child, I took piano lessons and I sing in this lifetime. And I know that I've had some regressions and stuff. And one of the regressions, I was taken back and found out that I was a piano teacher in another lifetime, in another country. And I know that's because of what the situation that happened. I won't go into it right now. I I didn't like playing the piano. It was like my fingers wanted to play, but I had this really bad experience in that lifetime. And my arms were broken because of what I had done. And so I had a regression and found this out. And about a week or two later, I had gone to an event, and this young lady I'd never seen her before. She had come and she was walking around the room she was learning how to read people's energies. And she walked over to me and said, she knew that I had had my arms broken, and I had been feeling pain in that spot for the couple of weeks before that had happened. And she's picked up on that. Mm-hmm. It was just like there was no way that she should have known about me getting my arms broken during that lifetime.
Isn't that
and I know,
wonderful?
Karen, that explains so much about you. You're so amazing. Every time Karen speaks, she shares more about who she is and what she's studied. And I'm like, how has this woman done all this in this one lifetime? I would think that about you a lot. And now I know.
Yeah, I was a singer in my last lifetime.
Do you still have the voice?
Yes, I still sing.
All right. You know, one of the things that people have said to me when I've done group regressions, there were about 35 people at Washington University, all laying on the floor, and they experienced 2 past lifetimes, and then the time coming into this lifetime, where I asked them, why are you coming back? You have a lot of choices. But the one thing that was asked of me over and over is, gee, I was just a farmer in England. Gee, I was just and it was just a, and when we think about the billions of people on Earth, not everybody can be a Madonna. Not everybody can be a head of a government or incredible 4-year-old who can play like we've seen. That sometimes our lifetime is just a normal, boring lifetime. And yet, I'd love to hear Karen sing sometime. I'll bet she's got some really good notes there. Anybody else? Carl? Carolyn? Lynn?
Okay. First of all, I hope you can hear me. I have had a hard time hearing everyone today, and I never heard the little boy play piano, although I could imagine what it was like watching his hands. But I have an AC unit going right here because it's too hot at home. And if I turn it off to hear better, then I'm going to start sweating like crazy. So I've left it on. I tried a while ago putting my headphones on, but I have this new computer with all this AI stuff, and I plugged the headphone in, but I still can't hear through it. Anyhow, today I've been challenged with a bunch of computer stuff and Zoom stuff. Actually, the challenges started yesterday when I just made a quick run to Costco and ended up having to be at a flat tire, had to call AAA and ended up at Discount Tires, hoping to get my tire fixed, and ended up having to buy 2 new tires. So the whole day, last few days it's been kind of funny. Anyhow, but that's not what you guys want to hear. And but that's why I've kind of been quiet here. And also, I do not like being recorded. Whenever there's a recording, I usually turn the camera off because I don't know why, but I don't like being recorded. So just to answer some of Steve's questions, I don't think I've ever had a near-death experience, but I've had many shared death experiences where I've traveled with people and observed things and seen things and interacted, and so I've had a lot of experience in that. But I don't really want to share it here.
Okay.
And I'll share it in person any day, but I don't feel like sharing it here right now because I know this is being recorded.
Okay, we're coming
But
to
I wanna,
for dinner.
I wanna,
Tell us all the stories.
what?
We're coming to your house for dinner, and you can tell us all the stories.
Not, well, it's, no, you don't come here now. I can't even stand it. But I want to say something funny. Following up on what Karen just said about having a beautiful voice and singing and this and that. I have zero musical talent, but I love music and I appreciate it. And so I always wanted to be a jazz singer, but above and beyond not playing the saxophone, I can't carry a tune for the life of me. But I have a lot of friends that are musicians because I love music. And so several of them told me, Carolyn, go take some music lessons. You can learn to sing. And so I did. This was years ago. I went and I took 3 semesters of voice lessons. I continued to be as bad as in day one. And by the end of the 3rd semester, the teacher basically told me, don't come back. He said, you look better on camera than you sound. So don't come back. It's not worth it. He didn't say it in those words, but it was kind of that. It didn't offend me at all. I thought it was funny, actually. It was not offensive to me because I knew how terrible I was. But I had a friend from Brazil at the time visiting who's a professional singer. She's even been part of the Carmen de Bizet opera at the Metropolitan in Rio de Janeiro. Anyhow, so she was, encouraging me and this and that. And then the funny thing is that the boyfriend I had at the time, both of them were at my last class was on a Saturday morning. My friend was visiting from Brazil, so we were going to go out sightseeing. And my boyfriend at the time also was going to go out with us. So both of them came to my class. And that was the day of my final exam when the teacher said, don't bother to come back. And my boyfriend was cracking up laughing. And when we left, he said, Carolyn, with your voice, you could revive the dead. We found a new profession for you. And I thought that was so funny, so funny. So when I leave this planet, the first question I have for God is, why did he give me such a love for music and zero talent and no ability to sing whatsoever? Because I still want to at some point get there, but it might be elsewhere. It's not going to be here in this lifetime, that's for sure. So I just thought that was a funny story. And so there you go.
I graduated high school in a class of 951. This is in Philadelphia many years ago. We were all 950 of us on stage practicing the school song. And the head of music came up to me, I myself, and said, don't sing.
Yeah, when you can't hold a tune, you desequilibra, you unbalance everybody else out. I was also once asked to leave a jazz dance class because everybody was going this direction and I was going that direction and I just couldn't get it together. So whatever. I got to laugh with it.
We've got about another 5 minutes. Anybody else want to add a few soul stories? Well, listen, I am thrilled that you've been here. Deborah, you were about to say? No. We got some. The truth is, we do not know. I can't show you a document that says that I was on the Mayflower at whatever, or that I came from a different country or whatever. But if in your sleeping, and if in your dreaming, and if in your growing up, you have this feeling that I'm supposed to do this or do that, do it. And I don't care how old you are. I mean, some of us, Reverend Sherry, became ministers. I don't know where minister came into my life. I was brought into a Jewish family. And when I told my mother that I was a minister, she said, you can't be. Because if you're Jewish, you can't be a minister. I could be a rabbi, but I couldn't be a minister. What is it that you want to be? And whatever that is, if you love it, if you feel it in your heart, if you know it at some level, whether you can prove it or not, become it. Do it. Be it.
Reverend Steve,
Yes.
I have a cheer that I've done for decades, and I could I'm going to share it. And it
Please.
goes just to the point that you've been making. Here's to it, and to it again. If you ever get to it, do it, because you may never get to it to do it again.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Are we ready for dinner? Okay.
At Carolyn's house?
I wish I could invite you guys all over. But Poway is pretty hot today, hotter than it was supposed to be.
Okay. And we won't ask you to sing.
No,
This
unless
is
you
a bit
have
of an
some people that have moved on that you want me to revive. I can tone though. I go to toning groups. I can do that. I can tone Ohm and a few other things, but I can't carry a tune.
Perhaps some other time, can we discuss not coming back? That those of us who are 100% volunteer, we don't keep reincarnating anymore. There's this whole new template. Thank you, Abigail. So that would be a subject I would love to hear more
I'd love
about.
to talk about too. Absolutely. Yeah.
I've talked to a lot of people that feel this is their last time on Earth.
I'm praying.
I'm not coming back.
Or send me to another planet, please.
Let me jump in with Don. One last thing.
Yeah, could you quickly review the 3 books you wrote that sort of touch on this subject?
The 3 books, well, I've written 23 books.
I know the 3, the Evolving Soul, and I'll write them in the chat. Tell me what they are.
Evolving Soul, okay.
God, You Look Great.
Yes.
And Dream Your Evolution.
And dream. Sorry for the mistakes.
And most of my books are on Amazon, so you just put in Albert and Amazon. If you're interested, buy them for the family for Christmas.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
All
Good
right.
night, everyone.
Good night.
Good to see you all.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.